Hey guys, it's Sutton with LA Capa Customs, and today we are going to be building the Galaxy Conqueror build. Let's get into it. So guys, this special custom paint was done by Rogue Customs. The camera truly does not do its justice. It looks so good. Highly recommend checking him out, and of course we can do builds with his work too, as we are partnered with him. And yeah, I really like the stuff he's doing, and if you do want a custom build, be sure to message us on Instagram or on email and we can lay out a build for you. Even we have this, which is maybe hard to tell on the camera, but it's actually color changing. Super cool. And yeah, so let's first get into the upper here, and I'm kind of just going to go through a bit of a step-by-step as I'm building this. Like I said, this will be available as a pre-build. So if you do like this gun and want to pick it up, it may still be available if you're watching this early on. And of course, we can always build you something like it. So to start, we're going to do more of a speed build here. And we are going to use the LA Capa Custom short stroke kit. No reason why not to. The best one on the market. And we're also going to use the LA Capa Customs 4.3 plug with the Delrin ring inside, which allows for a lot better stabilization of your recoil setup. And it does add a little bit extra built-in short stroke with the Delrin ring inside. So we're only going to put 3 buffers. So I will start out with washer, and then we will go light, dark, and another light. Typically what I like to do is go with a dark, light, light, dark. But since we're only going to use 3, this is kind of the setup I like. But really you can just play around with it and find what works best for you. This just short stroke kit in itself is really nice. And with this Delrin plug, it is so, like, there is no wobble at all. To give you a little comparison, we are actually releasing tornado barrels and design them so that they would also not give you any kind of extra wobble with the plug. So I highly recommend picking one of those up, even for this person. If they want to upgrade that, I highly recommend that. So that is our setup here at the lower. And again, we did use the Waldo 130 spring, which I really do like with the Conqueror slide. I think it matches it really well, being the Conqueror's pretty lightweight slide in itself, but we aren't upgrading the blowback unit today, so I think it is a good match. So I will quickly take off the rear so that we can transfer the blowback unit over. Okay, now that is out, the screw, and we'll take off the top and then can take off the rest. And we're back. I just took out the blowback unit from the old slide, and now I put the old slide away because we will not need it anymore. So we are using the 140 nozzle spring just because it is a speed build, and we want to be able to have it cycle nice and smoothly. And as far as the blowback unit nozzle, I'm leaving those stock. You know, eventually you can definitely upgrade, but we're trying to keep it a bit budget friendly here since it is already pretty expensive with the custom paint and all the parts we are putting inside it. So I will put this nozzle in. And then for the rear sight, we have opted to go with the AIP adjustable one. I like this a lot just because it is adjustable. I think we're going to go with green rear and green in a red front, but of course you can change this up if you would like, and this may take a second to install. Okay, so finally got this rear part installed. It can be kind of tricky for sure, so we'll go ahead and put this rear screw in. And I love the way the Conqueror fits everything together, and the clear coat that Rogue Customs put on this at the end just looks fantastic too. Really helps everything pop, and like I said, the camera really does not do its justice of how good this Galaxy does look. It kind of gives me a little bit of a black ice vibe as well, with some purple mixed in there. So now we have the rear sight, we have the front sight, so I will put them together, and then we will lock tight our inside screw. Alright, that should be perfect. So now we got a rear sight in there, everything is functioning, and now let's move on to the barrel section real quick. And for the barrel, we've opted to do a couple upgrades. We are upgrading the barrel, inner barrel itself to the Maple Leaf one, We are upgrading the bucking to the LA Capa Customs flat hop bucking. Highly, highly recommend. And then we are keeping the stock hop up to save on money a little bit. And yeah, the stock one really does work fine. And we are using our Tornado outer barrel that has been custom colored. I will get a couple O-rings as well. This was a prototype one that we ended up using. So I will get the custom O-rings for that so that we can do the O-ring inner stabilization. And if you don't know, our Tornado barrels actually have special cutouts on the inside that are unlike any other on the market currently. And have their own O-rings that will fit inside, one on the rear, one on the front. And what those allow is inner barrel stabilization, so it will actually stabilize your inner barrel with those O-rings, and so your accuracy will go way up. And this was a great design that me and Gaussian Kinetics came up with, so I will put on the hop up here, tighten it up. I think the budget of this build total, gosh, I want to say around 700. You'll have to look on our site when it's live. I'm just kind of going off of what I see here. Alright, so that hop is pretty centered there. And let me grab the O-rings real quick. So we are back with the O-rings here. Sorry, there are a lot of pieces everywhere. As soon as I finish this upper, I'm going to clean off the desk a little more so it's a bit easier for you guys to see everything. So the first O-ring, you slide it to the back. And we do have a video tutorial on this, and I will make one for the 5.1 barrel just to kind of reiterate it. And then the front one, you'll insert in here, get a screwdriver or something, and actually set it behind the threads. It's pretty easy to get in. It may take you just a minute here, but once it's in, it's in. You don't ever have to worry about it. So you just want to kind of nest it in there, and then you can use the inner barrel to smooth it out. So I'm just smoothing it out right now, guys, making sure that O-ring is all flush. And now we can insert it, and it's a little bit hard to get in there just because the O-ring gives it such a good seal. But now it's in there, and there's no wobble at all. It's really one piece, and look at how nice that hop-up unit fits together. We really designed these barrels to really fit and be very nice. So that is the upper done, besides the fibers. So we'll go ahead and insert that barrel. And then we will insert the plug setup. It's going to be super snappy. And I love the way the plug looks with the Conqueror too. You can also turn it the other way, and the actual cuts will face the same way as the Conqueror slide. So yeah, that is the slide. Let me put in this front sight. We may need to shave it just a little bit. AIPs typically are a bit wide, and add the paint and stuff. So I will get that on, we will do the fibers, and then I will show you the front. Okay guys, so the upper is completely finished. The front sight, I had to take off a little bit of paint to get it to work. But all in all, it looks really great. We have the green fibers in the back and the red in the front, and I think just the way that it complements that barrel looks really, really good. So now we will move on to the lower. So guys, for the lower, all we are doing is the magwell, the trigger, and the sear spring. I will need to get the magwell pin in just a minute here, but we're actually also going to be doing the frame. So we're going to be completely stripping this frame and doing the next frame. So even though this is still a gold match frame, it's not like an advanced frame or anything, we are still going to be taking all these parts out, and I'll kind of explain that as we go here. So let's do the frame part first. I think that'll be the best, and then we can do the grip section. And speaking of frames, by the time this video is out, we may have posted something about it. If not, it'll be in the next about week or so whenever you see this video. We have been working since last year, around November-ish, on our own frame. And this is nothing like anything you guys have ever seen. This is not an advanced frame. It is the TM internal system, like this hammer system. However, what makes it different is there are full top rails, there's a railed lower, but there's the full top rails. In the back, there's a lot of ergonomic design changes to make things function better. You'll be able to use all your same aftermarket parts. We even have a set screw that helps with your barrel stabilization. This, frame is unlike anything else we've ever seen before. And it took a long time for us to get it to where it is. Being machined from CNC, we had to adjust a bunch of fillets and stuff, whereas typically they are mold. So we are very, very excited to announce that. Probably my most anticipated project we have done. I just haven't been able to say much because we are still working on it, but we are finally getting it to a good point here. And I'm really trying to get these safeties off, so give me just a second and I will be able to wiggle these loose. There we go. Detent, all the safeties fly out everywhere. Put this to the side, put the grip to the side as well. So I will undo this part, and let's see, do we need a chassis here? Yes, we do need a chassis, but we don't need the side panel, so I'll just dump all these parts out. We're going to keep the stock TM internals. They do really work well. Of course you can upgrade them later down the road, but aren't trying to go too all out for this build so that it still is affordable to you guys. So I will take out the screw, take out all of the chassis pieces here, and okay, so let me put these two frames aside and I will go over how to reinstall the frame area, and I'll loop this up a little bit. So first off, let's start with the chassis area. So you're going to want to put your plunger spring in, and then you will put your valve knocker in there. Now you can go ahead and close this with the chassis and put the chassis screw in like so. So there's only two pieces that go in this little section. I kind of break this up into 3 sections. So there's only 2 pieces that go in the chassis and frame. So the next section, you take this part, and again we'll put a little lube in there just because it's probably dry from the work that was done to it. So first you put your disconnector and you just slide it up in that slot. Next up you will put your hammer on this little rolly thing right over here. And lastly, you will take your sear, and there is a cutout hole, and you will insert the sear in the cutout hole, and everything should line up. And I always make sure this is down and that the hammer is down. Just makes it easiest to assemble. You can now put your frame back on and align it. This one, again, it's been painted so it is a bit tight, but not a problem. And now you can put the screw in that holds it all in place. Okay, that is all done. Now we just got to put our safeties back in. So first I'll start with the small detent, then the spring, and then the big detent. And it's a bit tight from the paint. Okay, there we go. Just need a little wiggle room in there. Put your rear safety in. Then you'll put this side safety in and make sure it's flipped up. Take a screw or something and just push the detent back so that it stays. And then you should be able to push this safety in. There we go. And now take your other safety and hold them and press them together, and now it slides in. So that was a full frame change in just a couple minutes there. So now let's move on to the grip. All we have to do for the grip, install the Trident sear spring. This is a must in every build. Especially speed builds, like if you want a light trigger pull, I mean this $15, I would put this right up there with like a like right after short stroke and recoil spring, like right up there with like a bucking or something like that. I love it. The Trident sear spring, it's just so great. And then we're also going to change out the trigger for the Cow T2. So let me take out the mag catch like so. There we go. And then hammer out the bottom pin where the magwell will go. So just a note to you guys, never change out the hammer spring. Always leave the stock one in there unless you're just wanting super hard pull for whatever reason. But always leave the stock one in there unless you do go for the Cow hammer spring regulator. then that'll actually lighten it. But typically, like any other spring, is actually just going to make your trigger pull heavier. So there's the pin. And yeah, something I don't see talked about enough, the main thing that controls your trigger pull, or one of the main things, is your hammer spring itself. So increasing that just increases your trigger pull, and most people don't want that. So that's why I always recommend the stock or the Cow hammer spring regulator. That does work really good as well, excuse me. Now let's see. I will line up this trigger with the trigger bar, put the pin in, and then tap it in. So let me do that real quick. And there we go. So for the screw in the rear, I typically like to just make it a little bit undone so there's a bit of wiggle room in there, and then you can always adjust it once it is in the gun. So there you go, just a little room, nothing too much. I will clean this up. And let's put this back. We can get rid of the old trigger and the pin. And so we will put the trigger back in. Cows almost always fit really nicely and don't require any extra room. They can be a bit loose, but overall I do like them a lot. We'll make sure this sear spring is sitting well, which it is. Insert our mag catch. And let me put that back. And now let me quickly grab the magwell pin so that I can put the magwell in. Okay, so here we go. So before we put the magwell pin in, it is imperative that you put the frame on first. So just move the disconnector up until the hammer sits up, and then you can simply just put the frame down. And I like to make sure the sear spring sits on top of the sear and the disconnector. Sometimes you have to play with it a little bit, but it should all sit nicely. And again, we do have videos going over all this in more detail. We're actually going to make a mini series pretty soon here of specifics, like how to change your trigger, or how to put together your lower again, or how to things with your sear spring and whatnot. So we're going to make a series, so be sure to look out for that, especially for your newer guys. But for build videos, we'll quickly cover it so you guys can learn and also watch a really cool high Capa be built. And we don't make any money from YouTube, unfortunately. They, with their gun policies and all that, they think that we show people how to build real guns. So the best way to support us is to buy these parts on our store at lacapacustoms.com. If you do want to get a custom gun built for you, we have that option on our website. We have a custom builder where you can select everything you would like if you kind of have a parts list in mind. Or if you don't, you can feel free to reach out to one of our builders and they will actually assist you. We have great people that work for us for our contact, and they will help outline a build for you based on your budget and your needs and what you would like. And we even offer custom services as well. So I will need to get this magwell pin in, and it seems to be a little tight, I think, from the paint, so it may take a minute. Okay, it actually went in pretty smoothly, and we'll quickly take out this pin. And fit the grip onto the frame and make sure that our sear spring lines up with itself. Perfect, and sits on top nicely. Now everything is in, and now we will put in our grip screws. So I really like how this build came out. I like that we still do have a couple silver accents. We have the grip screws, we have the hammer, and we have the guide rod that are still silver. And I think the silver actually kind of complements it a bit. And then the rest is black and galaxy. Really like that look. And we will put in our magwell and the pin. Tap it in here. That's a bit too far. What I really like about our Defender magwells is that they will fit any thing, even with the base plates on them, they still fit just fine. So really like those, highly recommend our Defender magwells. That is the one we have here. And now this is the lower done. I will place these things over here. Let's put in our screw, and then all we need is a little bit of lube. And I'm probably going to rack this a bunch, do some test stuff, and then clean it all up. But it's better to over lube it at the beginning when you're testing and wearing in everything and making it flow smoothly. Now I will put this on. The rails are a bit tight as expected with the custom paint, but you know, a little bit of wearing in never hurt anybody. And then the short stroke lines up to where you don't need to do any custom work to your slide catch, but I may sand it just to be safe. And look at that. This is, let me clean this up a little bit. This is the Conqueror slide with the Galaxy custom paint by Rogue Customs, along with our Tornado outer barrel. Let me get some close-ups of this stuff. Look at that, color shifting inner barrel there, or outer barrel there, adjustable fibers, and then the frame and slide match up so well, complemented by the magwell, of course, too. This is one of my favorite builds I've ever seen. I actually kind of want to keep this for myself, but yes, this will be up as a pre-build, and let us know if you have any more questions. I'm going to wear it in, kind of get the slide all running smoothly, and then we will take some pictures and have this on our Instagram and website. So guys, this has been Sutton with LA Capa Customs, and thank you very much for watching.